been one of those mornings. Oh, look at that. What? So how's the convention going so far? Is that all right? I'd like to give a real special thanks to two people who have been so faithful and supportive throughout the years, and it's real great to see them finally have finally get the payoff, as it were, for being so helpful, and that, of course, is Ed Riley and Maggie McManus. Where's Maggie? Oh. Maggie's in the back? All right. Thank you, Maggie. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, a little like... Do I look as bad as I feel? It hasn't been easy, an old fart like me. No, it's great. Anyway, I'll start reading some of these questions here. Micky, why do you think they chose you to be one of the 4 Monkees? Well, I am not exactly sure sometimes, but I think, can you hear me all right now? I think probably because they were looking for, for very individualistic personalities that would complement each other and wouldn't step on each other's toes, as it were, creatively. And what are you yelling at? And I think that's one of the reasons, and also because I bribed them the most. I paid the most money, and that helped. Who actually chose you to sing lead on the songs? I.e., a little Latin phrase there. Why did you sing lead on many of Nesmith's songs? Well, quite simply, when we did get cast in the show, Mike, had in those days and still does very country western kind of sentiments, and at that time country western wasn't really big in the pop charts, and not like it is today. And also, and Peter, of course, had very folk rock kind of sensibilities, and again in '66 that wasn't real big in the pop charts. Davey has a great voice, of course, but at the time he was, what did I say, voice? he has Broadway, that kind of Tony Newley and stuff. And so I kind of got the leads on a lot of the pop songs by default. Not that I'm any, a great singer. It's just I was the only one that could. It's just that I was the only one that could scream, like an idiot for 3 minutes. So I think that's how it happened. I said, who can scream like an idiot? And I went, and they said, all right, you're the one. Oh, that's a nice question. Hi, I'd like to know how Coco is doing and what she's been up to lately. Coco's my sister, and she was out on tour with us, and she actually sang on a lot of the original Monkee tunes in the background. She sang on Shorty Blackwell, and she did, it was a duet with me on one of the songs. I can't remember exactly which one it is, but she's doing fine. She lives in San Francisco area, and she's having, oh, you're from area. That's a nice place. She's doing real well. She's just having another baby, actually. She's going to have a baby actually on stage at our Great Adventure. We thought that'd be a real nice kind of, encore to the show. after we finish Pleasant Valley Sunday, Coco come out and have a baby. Is there any coffee around? Anybody got a cup of coffee? Ed? Ed? Is that possible? Black coffee with sugar, please. Thanks.
But you shouldn't be drinking coffee, none of you little tiddywinks. It's bad for you.
It's okay for us big people. I noticed that. It's been incredible, the demographics that we've been getting on this show. Have any of the Monkees been in touch with Michael since the tour began, and is there any chance he'll play on the concerts? Well, I've seen Michael quite a bit, actually, over the last few years. Probably more than I've seen Davey and Peter, easily, because Michael and I both drifted into the same kind of activities, vis-a-vis producing, and well, he doesn't direct, but I also direct shows, films, television, blah blah blah. And a couple of years ago, Mike asked me, called me up and said, would I like to direct some segments for his series TV parts from England? Yeah. And I thought his series, actually, I thought it was a brave attempt. You know, I thought that he really was trying to do something quite innovative there, and I think, in all fairness to him, the networks, you know, really crushed what spirit was in Elephant Parts. Because Elephant Parts, I think, was you know, really cool, but I know what it's like working for the networks, and I can tell you that it was a nightmare trying to get some really cool stuff through the networks. Because he came over to England, and we looked at a bunch of groups. We looked at the people that do the young ones, right? Well, I've worked with him on a number of occasions, and Rick Mail and Ade Edmondson, who play the two, Rick plays the real bolshy, you know, revolutionary kind of guy, and Ade Edmondson plays the punk rocker, you know. And they have an act in England called the Dangerous Brothers, which you probably haven't heard of here, but they're two wackos, much like they are in the young ones. And they just do real dangerous things. And they tried to get some stuff for Mike's show, but the networks just said, you know, absolutely not. They just kept censoring it so badly that eventually Aiden and Rick said, it's ridiculous, why should we bother to do this? But what we did do was some stuff of Spitting Image, which is some puppets from England, which, have you heard of them? Yeah. They're very funny, but they're pretty rude. You could never get that you couldn't even get that on the blue channels over here. You couldn't get that on network television. And in England, television is much looser, much freer than it is over here. Network television, you can get away with an awful lot in England. It's not nearly as censored as it is over here. So they submitted some scripts, and we eventually did this stuff, but it was pretty tame. But they submitted a script. Does it sound as bad to you as it does to me up here? It needs a little more highs on it, I think. No, it's all right? You can hear it okay? Good. Maybe because I'm popping on it. So they sent in a script with Prince Charles and Lady Di. And Prince Charles, he was talking about his darling Di. Wait a minute. You won't be able to hear the joke. Oh, thank you. There's Maggie McManus. A big hand for Maggie. Where was I? Oh, yes. So Prince Charles was talking to Lady Di. Oh, Di, darling, I think Prince Willie has done a doo-doo in his diapers. That was one of the lines in the thing, that Prince William had done a doo-doo in his diapers. And I got back a telex from NBC, the censors, saying, you have to strike that whole joke because there can be no reference to fecal matter. So you see what he was up against. I mean, you know, you can't say doo-doo in your diaper. I mean, Jesus Christ. So, at any rate, as I say, I think Mike, it was a very brave, gallant attempt to try to do something new on network television, which is getting really boring. And at any rate, so Mike and I have a couple of projects that we've talked about over the years about doing. He's also said that if we do a film, that he would appear in it. And then he also said, in an interview, I don't know if it's true, he said, but going back into the Monkees would be like Ronald Reagan going back into films, which I don't know, it's a pretty stupid thing. He did come out to one of the shows in Arlington, Texas, and he came out and I called him, he said, well, I came out there, Micky, and I came out in disguise, you know, I put on a big beard and makeup on it. And I really enjoyed the show. I thought it was real nice, and I thought, it's the first time I'd ever seen a Monkees concert. And thought you guys did real well.
Well, thanks a lot, Mike. Thanks a lot, Mike. Real nice of you to come out.
Quite simply, you know, he is real busy. I'm sure you've heard all this stuff. But also, he's just not into it anymore. You know, he doesn't perform really. He just hosted that TV show, but he doesn't record, he doesn't perform, he doesn't act much. And I don't know if he'll be on tour. The next part of the question is there any chance he'll play any of the concerts? I just simply don't know. We've talked about it, but it would be a bit tricky just suddenly for him to walk in and just stand there like a nerd, you know, in our... How many of you have seen the show so far, the concert? Well, then you can imagine that it would be a bit, it might be a bit tough, but who knows? You know, it just depends if he gets the notion. And I think he told me, he said he watched the concert and he got a bit itchy, he got a bit scratchy, you know, kind of wishing he was up there. I think, you know, I think that he's probably kind of kicking himself in the butt sometimes. And... Yeah, no, he knows that. He knows that. Thank you. I'll tell him that. Thank you. Micky, will you be doing direction work in the U.S.? Well, yes, I just co-directed our new MTV video, which I was going to bring here, but I only have it on Betamax, and presumably that's... I figured that, but it's premiering. It's the new MTV video that we did for That Was Then, This Is Now. And it's premiering on MTV. If you can get a Betamax, I can get you a copy if you want, but you need Beta, because that's what I have on the bus. Okay, Betamax is what you need. Yeah. But anyway, go round one. Anyway, if not, you'll see it. It's not the finished version anyway. It's not mixed, so it's a bit... but you'll see it on MTV. I think it premieres this Thursday or sometime on MTV. I co-directed that. And, I mean, it's pretty tough directing yourself when you're on stage, you know? Move over!
Okay.
Look that way.
Okay.
But I will be doing some direction work. I've been thinking about directing a Monkee film if we make one, but I'm not sure. I mean, it's pretty difficult. It isn't easy to direct yourself, especially on comedy and stuff like that. Woody Allen's the only man I know that has even got close, you know, to doing it well. And so I don't know. I mean, I think I might. What? Mike doesn't direct. He produces. He's the executive producer. You'll help me? I'm sure we can work something out there. Okay. don't know what my wife will say about all this, but Micky, sometimes at the end of the shows there would be ad-lib sessions. You seemed extremely uncomfortable and withdrawn. Is that true? That's a good question. I was. 20 years ago, when I started on the Monkees, I was an actor, as you know, and I'd been in a group singing lead and playing some guitar, but it was all fairly professional, kind of, good old-fashioned Hollywood. And at that time, in my career, I mean, I had never done any ad-libbing or improvisation. It was all basically a script, and you worked off the script and did it. So when we started doing these ad-lib interview kind of situations, I was very nervous and uncomfortable. It took me a while to get, into being kind of spontaneous and being able to go, It's too long. Now, what is the meaning of the Texas Prairie Chicken? Nothing. It means absolutely nothing. No, I forget. I think it was a bit where I come out and I say, Mike says to me, "What does your button say?" And I say, "Love is the ultimate trip." And I say, "What does your button say?" And he says, mine says, "Save the Texas Prairie." Well, if I'm not mistaken, there was something in Texas at the time where the Texas Prairie Chickens, because there is a thing called a Texas Prairie Chicken, it's real. Oh, look at that, my God. And we just couldn't get through it without cracking up. I mean, it was simple as that. And I think that the Texas Prairie Chicken is some kind of animal that was an endangered species at the time. Here, Micky, I was wondering if you were half Spanish, because in the Christmas episode, your pronunciation in Rio Rio Chio was very good. No, man, hey, man, what's happening? No, but I come from California, man, so I used to ride with the lowriders in California, man. It was cool, hey, man, what's happening? No, I lived in Southern California, and half of it's now Spanish, and I love Mexico, and I love the Latin people, and I took Spanish in 4 years in high school, but I can't remember a word, but I can pronounce it pretty good. I forgot about that song. How did that go? I forget. Does anybody remember how it went? Who can sing it? Oh, come on, get your buns up here. Gary! Henry! Hey! What are you doing here, you old farts? Henry! Okay, come on. Sing it, come on. Get it, sing it. Come on. See la guadalinera, pescado volando de esta tubera. See la guadalinera, pescado volando de esta codera. Io volevo la che sono der, las tías poderosas las hizo defender. Tutte le hacer que no pudiste pecar, y al originale tu no tu vera. Io sì, l'acqua da rivela, lo sparo bello della scacodera. Io sì, l'acqua da rivela, lo sparo bello della scacodera. Come here, Henry. Come here, Henry. I gotta introduce, you know Henry? Yeah. I gotta say hello to my friend Henry. Yeah. Do you know all these people? Have you been introduced officially? Yeah. This is Henry. Oh, right. You saw the slides? Aren't they the best? Isn't he the best photographer in the world, huh? Photographer extraordinaire. There's Gary Strobel. You know Gary? Come on, Gary. God. Gary Strobel? Hey, my boy. My man. How you doing? All right? What? Sure, of course. not the entire.
Yeah, do a shirt for me, Gary.
And what did Frodis really mean? You can ask Henry. Ask Henry Dilts. He'll tell. You seem to mention Star Trek a lot of your interviews. Are you perchance a Trekker? Not a Trekkie. I didn't realize. Is Trekkie a dispersion? It's Trekker. Where's Claudia Burton? You're Claudia. Hi, Claudia. So is Trekkie is kind of a rude, like, Trekker, I think. Well, yes, I know I'm not a Trekker. I mean, I don't like go to the conventions, but I've watched every episode a million times, obviously. And I just use the example. I mean, I just use the comparison about when people talk about the Monkees in terms of television and rock and roll. I always just use that as a comparison because the Monkees was put together much the same way that Star Trek was. You know, people are cast into a television show, and so I just use that example, and that's about it. Oh yeah, please, we must know what the words are to the fourth very babbly verse. Very babbly? I don't babble! And going down, we know every other words but those. Oh God. Kim McFadden, where's Kim? Hi Kim, are you from Houston? My mom's from Austin. And Mary Jo? Oh God. Hi Mary Jo, from Springfield, Illinois. Do you mean, which one do you mean? Which verse do you mean? Yeah, just a minute, I'm trying to remember now. I gotta start from the top of the song. Oh yeah, and now I see the life I led, is that the one? And now I see the life I led, I slept it all away in bed, I should have learned to swim instead, but now it's really got me stumped. I can't remember. Well, and now I see the life I led, I slept it all away in bed, I should have learned to swim instead, and now it's really got me stumped. I can't believe it, why I jump. I'd like to get my tummy pumped. I can't believe they drink this stuff in town, this dirty brown. Is that the one? Now I see the life I led, I slept it all away in bed, I should have learned to swim instead, and now it's really got me stumped. I can't believe it, why I jump. I'd like to get my tummy pumped. I can't believe they drink this stuff in town, this dirty brown. What artists have you produced music videos for, and what does a producer versus a director do in music video making? Sylvia Guistina. Hi there. Well, I've only done them in England, so I don't think you'd have heard of any of the acts. Gallagher and Law was one, and I did them for myself, and I did one for Noel, a girl named Noel, and mostly in England. But the difference between a producer and a director in music video, well, it's the same in any kind of film, is the producer is kind of the manager, the director, the managing, kind of person, business person, and the director is the artist. The director takes the vision and puts it on the film. Micky, I wondered whether you are as pissed off as most of us are with the way this tour was put together. It seems to me you're doing too many one-night stands. They also have you going back and forth across the country too much. Well, that's true. I'll tell you, going across the country back and forth like that is pretty typical of a tour because you can't all the time, every time, you can't choose where and when you're going to play. You have to go to the dates that are open. But as far as the one-night stand, that's also part of the economics of it. You have to be doing shows almost every night, or else it's not economic. And when this tour was first booked, towards the end of last summer, actually, a lot of these dates, of course, none of us had any idea, at least I didn't, that it was going to be quite as successful as it has been. So some of the dates that were booked were the halls, the venues were smaller than they should have been, so they were sold out quite quickly, and so the guy wanted to do another show, so they booked in double shows, and so we're just screwed tired. What? Oh, you mean another tour? Well, yeah, excuse me, there's been talk of it, yeah, coming back next summer, I don't know. I'll tell you, what I'd like to do, I'd like to do actually is make a feature film and make a monkey film, not so much like Head, because I think it would be a little more, I mean, Head was a good film, I liked Head, but I think something more like a cross between, Time Bandits and A Mad, Mad World or something. And come out with one film a year maybe, and something, and then tour with.
Micky, do it for 20th Century Fox!
Is that your company? You... Oh, it was called, yeah. I did two of them. I did one for Paramount, too, and I'm trying to remember which is which. Paramount was, Balam, Gateway to the South. 20th Century Fox, I think, was with the Monty Pythons. It was called The Box. There's a short that Michael Palin and Terry Jones wrote, and I directed. It's called The Box. It's pretty weird, pretty bizarre. But if 20th is interested, you tell them to give me a call.
Micky! Hey, Micky!
What's
Is the tour going to go to West Virginia?
What?
Is the tour going to go to West Virginia?
I think we've already done West Virginia, haven't we?
Not again?
Huh? No, we're doing Atlanta in October now. I know we're going through October. I'm not sure what the cities are, but I remember Atlanta. What? We'll do Schenectady, New York. Okay. Well, we'll do your living room. Except you have to make the coffee. Pier 84 is good. I thought it was cool, wasn't it? Yeah. On your last Monkey episode, The Frodo's Caper, or Mija Kojo. By the way, there's another card here about what Mija Kojo means. It's quite simply, it all turns out to be real boring stuff. It's just the name of my dog. At the time, my dog at the time. And it was the first two letters of all the names of the people in our family. Simple as that. You see, you probably thought it was some incredible, mysterious message to beyond the dead, right? On your last Monkey episode, The Frodo's Caper, or Mija Kojo, you had a guest singer. The reason I named it that is because the dog had died just then. So, I don't want to talk about it. You had a guest singer, Tim Buckley. I liked his music so much, I brought some of his albums. I found out he died tragically, and I just invited him on the show to give him recognition. I would also like to know if his wife and son are alive and well in the show business. I'm sorry, I didn't have This is from Anita Bartz. Yeah, no, Tim Buckley was a friend, and not a very, very close friend, but he was a friend. He'd been over to the house, and we'd hung out a bit. And yes, he did. He died tragically of an overdose in 1975, which tells you a lot about overdoses. And I don't know what his wife and son are doing. I assume they are alive, but I don't know. But it was a great tragedy. He was a very, very talented man, and I'm afraid got a bit crazy behind drugs. which is quite simple to do. Did you encourage Amy to go into show business? Have you ever talked to her about directing her in a film? Yeah, we have talked about doing a Ryan and Tatum O'Neal, but nothing's coming. No, we have actually talked about it recently. I didn't encourage her. No, I believe you just kind of, expose your children to all kinds of different things and let them kind of choose. I mean, when you're in the business, it does tend to influence the child. But like any business, most kids, a lot of them follow in their parents' footsteps or tend to. And that's what she did. She just, she's done it all on her own. I haven't helped her at all because I've been living in England, of course, and she's done quite a bit of stuff now. She's done Growing Pains and Silver Spoons, and she won Star Search, a show called Star Search, and she just did one of those soaps. What's it called? The one with the real good-looking guy. And what? Is that it? Days of Our Lives? Maybe that's it. She did that. And this is the one. How do you pronounce Mija Kojo? That's it, Mija Kojo. Micky, what exactly do you say in the beginning of No Time? Kara Schmidt. That's what I say, Kara Schmidt. No, that's her name. I say, Hober, Reber, Saber, Sober, Hober, Sieber, Sneck, Sieber, Reber, Hober, Soben, what did you expect? And you're gonna be very disappointed. It means absolutely nothing. It's, I'll tell you what it is. It's a Bill Cosby ripoff. Because in 1967, Bill Cosby was kind of an underground comic. I mean, he was, and I found him and turned Mike Nesmith onto him. And we used to sit around at night listening to his albums and just, roaring with laughter. And I don't remember, but there was a couple of routines where he used to go, Overseer, Overseer. You remember that? Overseer, Overseer. So that's it. So we just went Overseer, Rapper, Sober, Overseer. Isn't it amazing how these things happen? Is Trina and your daughters touring with you? The grammar's incorrect. That should be are Trina and your daughters touring with you? And yes, they am. Yeah, that's been incredible. They've been having a good time. In fact, the kids now, I have three daughters, Charlotte, Emily, and Georgia, and they're cute, aren't they? They're so cute. Charlotte's nearly 5. She'll be 5 in about a week. Emily is 3, and Georgia's nearly 2. And they've been having a great time. You know how most kids play hospital, or they play doctor, they play nurse, or these kids are playing hotel front desk. It's true. They get these little toy phones. They say, "I'm sorry, your room's not ready." We'll have your bill's ready, and the pool opens at 9 o'clock. And yes, hello, room service. Can I please have 2 burgers and? Micky, I saw your name was Braddock on Circus Boy. Was that a stage name or what? It was a. Yes, it was. It was actually then my uncle's name. And what happened at the time I did Circus Boy, you're too young to remember that. What are you talking about? My name, my father was an actor also. His name was George Dolan. So he had a series on, what is that? Oh, hey. It's great, it's terrific, it's the best show on earth. In town today. Should I make a show called Circus Man? Are there, Pippo? My father was an actor, and he had a series on at the time called The Count of Monte Cristo, and so And the producers of Circus Boy, when they cast me, they said, well, first of all, Dolenz doesn't sound like a real kind of, Midwest American name, and that people would confuse the Dolenz with the they'd think, why is... I don't know why they thought it's stupid, but anyway, Braddock was my uncle's name, and they thought that was a bit more kind of, good old-fashioned American. And that's why they bleached my hair, too. They figured that anybody in a circus had to be blonde. Micky, is the car... What? Micky, is the car you're standing next to with Peter in the program book yours or Peter's? And what kind of car is it? P.S. Glad you're back on the tube from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. It's my car, actually. Peter came over to England to visit with David Fishoff, the guy that produced the tour, to talk me into doing the tour. And we took some pictures. No, it's my car, and it's a Jaguar. Micky, how did you get that scar on your right arm? Well, it was late one night in downtown East LA. I was minding my own business. No, it's pretty boring. It's hang gliding accident. You know hang gliding, where you jump off a mountain like a bird? God. That is really dumb. No, it's very exciting, but it's a very dangerous sport, and I would not recommend it unless you're very brave and don't mind busting yourself up into little pieces. I've been flying for a long time, and I went out one weekend, and I hadn't been out for a long, long time. This is before that tour that Davey and I did in 75, I think it was, something like that. 76, thank you. What would I do without you guys? Maggie and Ed and Gary Strobel, they all tell me where I was and what I did. And I crashed. The wind picked up one of the wingtips, and I crashed into the side of the mountain and broke the arm in 3 places. San Diego, San Francisco, and the scar is from the operation. They had to put in a metal pin now, so I'm like bionic. It's tough getting through the airport, the security thing. Beep, 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 beep. But it's great. Sorry? Yeah, that's right. Monkey Man. This looks like a job for a monkey man. God almighty. I'd like to monkey her, man. My wildest dreams come true. That's cool. That is cool. Micky, on a couple of episodes of the Monkees, you made a comment about not being allowed in Disneyland looking like that. What was the scoop behind that? Lisa Maple Shade. Oh, that was one of our little, agitprop kind of social little comments that we occasionally got past the network censors. That was just simply because in about 66 or 67, Disneyland said that nobody with long hair was going to be, no boys with long hair would be allowed in Disneyland, and everybody perceived that as being a bit prejudiced and a bit antisocial. The reason was actually, is because they were all getting beat up by the sailors. It's true. All these young, long-haired, guys and girls that come in, wow, peace, man. Ooh. Wow, man, I'm gonna do the toboggan on acid. And they were either flipping out, on the rides, or getting beat up by the rednecks. So Disneyland said that they wouldn't let any more long-haired people in, so we made a couple of comments about that. Micky, do you like the States or Britain better to live in? Well, that's a tricky question. I love, of course, I'm born here, so this is my home. But there are a lot of things about England and Europe that I do like an awful lot. I like the fact that it's all done. There's no vacant lots, you know, and there's no telephone poles with wires. So it's very pretty, and it's also all finished, and it's like Disneyland in a lot of ways, England. Yeah, it is. It's funny that it's, you know, how Disneyland is like all done and everything's all neat and nice, tidy, and so put in its face and everything. And also it's surprisingly enough, I mean, in many ways, there's a lot more freedom over there to kind of do what you want to do, because after thousands and thousands of years of society, they have become more tolerant. And I'll give you an example. I mean, if a bunch of guys are outside of a bar, like, you know, a bunch of kids, 17, 19, 21-year-old kids outside of a bar fighting, you know, after they close or something, the police would come by and just say, all right now, little kids, that's about enough. Let's get home, huh? Time to go home. We're over here, it's like, up against the wall. And because, in all fairness, over here, you know, it's pretty dangerous. I mean, and over there, police don't carry guns. Nobody has any guns, and so it's a little safer, you know. Yeah, gun control. So it's a little safer, and as I say, it's also a little more tolerant. You can just about do anything you want over there without getting in a lot of trouble. And over here, I mean, it's like the Wild West. It still is in many ways, which is great, very exciting, and a lot of opportunity over here. In England, there's not so much opportunity, which is the downside. You know, it's if you're out of work, or if you just starting out in life with a job or something like that, it is very difficult because the unemployment is real bad, and the opportunities aren't so great. So it's a trade-off, you know. Anyway, I couldn't tell you exactly which I like better. It's, you know, 6-1. What? Are you all asking the same question? No, it's harder for everybody to get started in Europe, you know. Again, they've been around a long time. They were the first to become industrialized, and so they're the first to kind of become obsolete, you know, and there's no room to expand, so it's very difficult to set up new businesses. And yeah, it's hard for an actor and actress over there. There's not as much of a business. I think that the television and film industry over there is better, but it's because there's not as much of it, so they can afford to be good. There's only 4 channels.
Micky, what does Rocket Julie mean?
What? What?
What does it mean?
You are young. Sock it to me. You want to know what sock it to me means? You come back after the show. I mean, after. It's off of Latin, isn't it? A Goldie Hawn, and it just means use your imagination. Micky, what do you plan to do after the tour is over? I don't know if the tour is ever going to be over. Micky, what do your kids think when they see you on the TV show? It's funny, they couldn't quite figure it out at first. They couldn't distinguish between me and the show and everything, except they did say they liked Davy better. But then, so does everybody. Micky, who is the idiot who wants to restart the Monkees? I'd better take legal advice on this. Oh, I think it's a great idea, don't you? Oh, I think it's, what an intelligent thing to do. No? I didn't, that was from a Today Show comment I made, and I didn't mean anybody specifically. In case there's any spies. No, I didn't actually. There's a lot of people involved. I mean, the idiots are all major television and film companies are people by mostly idiots. I mean, they're also trying to redo a lot of shows. You know, they're coming back with they came back with a new Odd Couple, I heard, a couple of years ago, and that bombed. And they're coming back with a new Dennis the Menace, or what? Oh, is it Beaver? Well, the thing is, the reason that it's so stupid is because it seems to me is that you can't, you can't just recapture something like that easily. If one could, I'd have done it. I'd have taken a guy and said, hey, you'll be Commander Kirk, and you'll be Dr. Spock, and we'll call the show Star Trek, and everybody will watch. I mean, it doesn't work like that. The business isn't like that. It's all about personalities. And that's not to say that there could have been other guys that might have done the Monkees, and it might have been just as successful. There could be somebody else that could have been Commander Kirk. Well, no, but you see the point. I mean, there could have been somebody else that was Commander Kirk. It might have worked, but there's no way to know. So the point is that our business just doesn't work like that. And no, you all write them a letter. You all everybody write Columbia Television in Hollywood. You write them a letter or a dozen letters, and you tell them that. And that's the only thing that'll really change their minds. Thank you. I think they're finding themselves in difficulty because, of course, in those other shows that they're trying to restart, the people that did the shows aren't around or aren't available or I mean, Beaver's now 40 years old. But in our case, it's kind of timeless in that sense, like the Marx Brothers or something. It doesn't really matter. Hey, Micky, I was there 20 years ago when you made such a splash at the Hollywood Bowl. What's the biggest difference between now and then? Now and then, huh? As far as touring is concerned, Carol Nadeo, I think that's pronounced. Nadeo. Sorry, Carol. Well, there's not much difference at all. I mean, it's the equipment's a lot better. In those days, we had like two little tiny. Remember those, Henry? It was like two little things that looked like a car stereo. And the guy like, whoa. And now we've got like, Star Trek. It's just like this massive, great thing of equipment. So that helps. I think it's probably a little easier now, actually, because in those days they weren't really set up for it properly. Nobody really knew how to do it, so it got pretty crazy. But I'm enjoying it a lot now. What was your, huh? What? I beg your pardon? Boy, thanks, Sonny.
Hey, Micky, you doing your Star Collector tonight?
Was Shorty Blackwell written about Peter? No. It was written about my cat. That was a cat I had called Shorty Blackwell. I was really into pets. I still am. I got a lot of animals. What exactly does Randy Scousket mean? Love you, Kim McFadden. Is that Kim McFadden? You know the answer to this, don't you? I'm sure some of you do. But for those of you that don't, when I was in England, I was watching a show called Till Death Do Us Part, which became All in the Family. And on that show, again, in England, you can get away with a lot more on television than you can over here. And a Randy Scousket is like a slang expression. Randy in England means horny. So any of you girls named Randy in the audience, if you go to England, be prepared to get a few laughs. So Randy means horny, and a scouse is a slang expression for somebody who comes from Liverpool, and it kind of means like saying I can't think of anything. No, it's particular to an area like Liverpool, like what? Yeah, but it's like saying you joy, Yes, but it's like calling somebody, I can't think of an example. Anyway, and a get is like a jerk. That's like a jerk. So basically it translates, Randy Skouska translates as a horny Liverpudlian jerk. And when I wanted to release the record in England, they said, you can't release it under that title, you need an alternative title, and I said, yeah, okay. Please explain, I'll buy a raccoon, but John already has one. Yeah, from Gonna Buy Me a Dog. That was a guy named John who used to work with us, John London, and he had a raccoon. And he used to live in the house with us, this stinking little creature. Disgusting little beast. How did you come to get the third Moog synthesizer in the... No, I shouldn't say that. Probably the Anti-Raccoon Society will like it. No, it was actually very cute. It was a great little raccoon. How did you come to get the third Moog synthesizer in the world? I bought it. I mean, I heard... I met a guy in LA who was the distributor, and he showed me one, and I was really impressed. And so I ordered one, and I had it delivered to my house, and I sat up for days making sounds like flying saucers, you know. That was a fart. If you could, would you do it all over again? No, I it's terrible, you know, all the money and I hate it, you know, all the fame and all the adulation and all the women. I wouldn't do it again. What a dumb question. Sorry, whoever wrote that.